We've had the qualifying for the first race of the season in Bahrain, and it was an absolutely epic qualifying. A bit of a shame at the end without Charles Leclerc running for that Q3 session. But it all started in Q1, and we had a real surprise with the Ferrari hitting the front. We had Carlos Sainz in first and Russell second, and then Leclerc, and they really turned it on. And we kind of thought Ferrari were sandbagging a bit with pace, and it kind of felt like that was the case early on. It was the poor session for Nick De Vries. He finished last. Oscar Piastri in 19th. The two new boys really struggling in their first session. K-Mag actually was the surprise. He had a really poor session, finished in P18. He'll be really disappointed, especially with Nico Hülkenberg, who was the star of Q1, finished in P6 in that session. And Pierre Gasly in P17, he'll be disappointed too. His first race, he's been out-qualified by his teammate Ocon. And then Logan Sargent, who did a really fantastic job in the Williams. I expected them to be right at the back, and he set exactly the same time as Lando Norris, who finished in 15th. But because Norris set his time first, Sargent ultimately went out in Q1. But what a story that would have been for him. I mean, I expected him to be predictions to be the poor rookie of the season, the flop of the season, to be honest. So he's really strong, promising start for him, so hopefully he can kick on and build from here and prove us all wrong. That was exactly what he needs. And then into Q2, and this is, where it really ramps up. You've got the top 10, and everybody really puts in their top times here. And again, it was the Ferraris that hit the front. Charles Leclerc got P1, Verstappen in second. Russell was a surprise one here in third place, just 0.2 off pole. The first place for session 2, and same with Lewis Hamilton. It was all really, really tight. I mean, we were looking at about 0.7 from or just around that figure for the first 7 or 8 positions. So really, really close and tight up the front, which really got the juices flowing for Q1. But in Q1, the Red Bulls came out in force and doubted against him, and what a stupid decision that was. Max Verstappen took pole position. Sergio Perez came through in second. It was a strange decision from Charles Leclerc though. He didn't go out on his second run despite having a fresh set of tyres. They've chose and opted to do that, use that new fresh set for the start tomorrow. They are concerned about their race pace and long runs, but he'll start in third place. Teammate Carlos Sainz in fifth. Carlos didn't really have, Carlos didn't really have the pace of teammate Charles Leclerc throughout the whole of qualifying. The only one that looked like they'll take the battle to the Red Bulls was Charles Leclerc, and he was obviously really, really on it. Strange decision from Ferrari. Hopefully this is not the repeat of all the strategy errors we've seen from them or all of last season, and we really don't want them to start on the wrong foot this season. But yeah, it still is a bit mystifying why they wouldn't go for track position, but I think they are more race focused this year, and hopefully it pays off for them in the race tomorrow, and they don't look stupid with that decision of not to run or make that extra run. So it was 2 Red Bulls and 2 Ferraris, and then Fernando Alonso in 5th place. I mean, FP's practices, it looked like we'd have the Spaniard up at the front and in the title battle, but I think we were being all a bit too optimistic there. But what a fantastic job Aston Martin have done to get ahead of the 2 Mercedes, and he was really in for the fight as well, and their big strength of this car, as Fernando Alonso said, is in their long runs, in their race pace. So they'll be really hunting down them Ferraris tomorrow, especially with Ferrari already having concerns of how well they'll do in the race tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out. I think it'll be a fantastic race for that 3rd place in the podium. The 2 Red Bulls, for me, I think they'll be off in the distance. But yeah, then it came the 2 Mercedes, George Russell in 6th place, Lewis Hamilton in 7th. They only had 1 set of fresh tyres for the Q3 and just did 1 run. Both got compromised laps, but they were 6/10 both off pole. Disappointing from the Mercedes. They were about this far off last season from pole position, but had real massive issues with bouncing and things like that. So I think now they've got a strong base. They're hopeful that through in-season developing they can catch up the front at Red Bull. Obviously Red Bull have the lowest amount of time on the wind tunnels and the CFD, so you know, Mercedes could really play catch up throughout the rest of the season. I mean, the strongest position out of all of them is Aston Martin. They've got the most time on the CFD, so they can make real progress through the season, and with a real strong car and real strong base. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes out. Lance Stroll finished in 8th. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed not to beat one of the Mercedes, but overall, given the conditions, the injury that he had, I mean, he's had an operation on his wrist, he's broke a toe. To be out there racing and right there in it, not too disappointing, but they really probably want to get the most of this car, Aston Martin, while it is up at the front. You know, who knows how the developments of the other teams will go from here on, so they really need to make hay and get the most points as possible where you've got the car to do that. Ocon finished in 9th for Alpine, a strong qualifying for him, especially given his teammate Gasly out in Q1, finishing P17, so strong from him. And Nico Hülkenberg, he was brilliant all season or all session. In Q2 he had a brilliant session, finished in 8th place. He didn't set a time in Q1. I think he had his lap time deleted, unfortunately. No time for him set, and so we're in for a cracking race tomorrow. Lando Norris will start in 11th place, Bottas in 12th, and Zhou Guanyu, the two Alfa Romeos together, in 12th and 13th. Yuki Tsunoda in 14th place, Albon in 15th. Another decent performance from him as well, to be honest with you. So yeah, didn't really outshine his teammate though. Logan Sargent stole the show on there, P16. Gasly 17th, Magnussen 18th, Piastri 19th, and De Vries 20. The new boys towards the back of the field, but you know, it's early days and early part of their career, so it'll be interesting to see how they push forward. Piastri will be most disappointed. He's sort of like 8 places behind Lando Norris, and throughout the sessions he was fairly close to Lando, so he'll be really disappointed on that one. I think we're in for quite an exciting race, especially for that 3rd place and the podium. I think, like I said, the Red Bulls look like they're too strong for everybody else, especially in the long runs. Ferrari will be interesting to see. That last year their strength was in their 1-lap qualifying and not in their race pace, so it'll be interesting if they've come that hurdle through the summer. But they did seem quietly optimistic and not too disappointed with the decision that they've made. So unless they've got something up their sleeve, it'll be interesting to see. But it didn't really show in any of the testing or the free practice their strong race pace. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes out. So I think we'll be in for a cracking battle for that 3rd podium position. I really can't wait for the first race start of the season tomorrow. I'll watch my review following the race tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. I'll see you tomorrow.